I'm here with Mason Tvert, Director of Communications for the Marijuana Policy Project, and one of the key activists involved in the legalization of marijuana in Colorado. Mason, great to have you back on the show, and of course, congratulations for everything that's going on there.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
It's obviously an exciting few days there in Colorado for you guys with the opening of the legal recreational marijuana stores. Can you tell me a little bit about, or tell us a little bit about what is going on the ground there? What's happening?
Well, really, it's just like any other day, except some of the existing medical marijuana businesses that have been operating here for the last several years are just asking people for their driver's licenses instead of for medical marijuana licenses in order to make purchases. But otherwise, it's really nothing too different.
Nothing too different. So there's been like just an overflow of media coverage coming out of there, really hyping it all up. Has that increased? You said, has there been a lot of international media on the ground there?
Yeah, there's been an exceptional amount of international attention, and there have been really quite a number of reporters and even TV crews from around Europe as well as Canada and South America, and it's really been fascinating. A lot of people are very interested in seeing what is happening here in the United States, especially since our policies have had such a significant impact on those other countries.
Now, do you know how many stores? Was it 24 that actually started opening up to everybody, or were there more than that?
There were more. There were approximately 36.
Nice, okay. Cool. And I know there's been a lot of talk about long lineups materializing at these stores, and there seems to be, some controversy or worry about that in some places. I've seen you try and downplay that a bit. What do you think about that?
There have been lines, but, as I said, for months leading up to it, it would be no different than the first new iPhone coming out or some sort of fantasy movie in which people get lined up to see, but in this case, they weren't entirely all dressed like idiots. So, it's really nothing too out of the ordinary. A lot of people obviously wanted to take part in such a historic occasion and be able to say that they bought marijuana legally on the first day it was possible, and to have that receipt. But otherwise, it was really just similar to people lining up for any other product.
Yeah, and now as for the demand problems and things like that for the future, as more stores open, there's the anticipation that more stores will open. Do you anticipate any demand problems, or how does that distribution system really work? Will it be effective?
There has not been any sort of issue with any shortage of supply at this point, and, ultimately these businesses are doing everything to be prepared, and if they run out, they constantly have more that'll be coming. So, once they do run out, then they'll be able to simply apply to be able to grow more, and they, from my understanding, shouldn't have any trouble being able to, and, things will just move along. Ultimately, there will be a number of more businesses opening up around the state over the course of the year, many in the very near future, and we're really, not likely to have many problems.
Do we know how many stores will be opening? Is there any sort of limit to those?
Different localities have different rules, and some of them have placed moratoriums on the number of businesses there can be. Some localities are not allowing the businesses at all, but ultimately, we expect to see, similar to how we had with medical marijuana, a couple hundred or more around the state.
Right.
Maybe fewer at first. We'll have to wait and see.
Right, exactly. And now, of course, there's talk of the prices at these places, and I've seen headlines saying that the prices are skyrocketing and all these things. Are the prices wavering? Are they staying the same? Are they expected to go down over time? Where do those sit?
Generally, I think the price, even including tax at some of these stores, is resulting in it equating to roughly what we see, in the underground markets, about $50 for an eighth of an ounce. Some businesses, they're charging a little more. We really have seen a lot of people more than happy to pay. They're excited about the ability to just stop in a store and make a purchase and have variety to choose from, and it's obviously all very high quality product. But we'll very likely see prices going down as more businesses open and there's more competition. Also, it's a matter of people learning about what businesses are around. Once people have been to multiple, they'll then know the differences in prices, and that's when you start to see competition. And, of course, all these businesses have been going through a very, very rigorous process of getting ready for this and complying to all the rules and regulations, paying application and licensing fees and so on. So their overhead costs have been higher than they will be moving forward, and that will also play a role in it.
Right. Now, people in the state are allowed to purchase an ounce of marijuana, and people from out of state are allowed to purchase up to a quarter ounce. Now, but of course, is there any place for people to consume the marijuana? Like, say, if tourists come and purchase some marijuana, where would they consume that other than, say, their friend's house?
Well, it depends on where they're staying. If a hotel chooses to allow it, they can allow smoking and vaporizing in a hotel room that is designated as a smoking room, or they can allow vaporizing in any room. Of course, there's always edible products and whatnot. And, people have been consuming marijuana in hotel rooms and various places, concert venues, for a long time. So it's not as if all of a sudden, marijuana use is going to be dramatically different and taking place in different places. I think, localities are going to be really looking at how to handle allowing private businesses or private parties and so on to be able to allow consumption. And I'm pretty confident that we'll see that addressed here pretty soon.
Right. And now, is there hopes in the future of possibly have bars opening up, things like that? That wasn't in '64 anywhere, was it? But is there the hope of something like that?
It's currently under the law. Private businesses get to regulate how marijuana is treated on their property. So, we're confident that under Amendment 64, private business could allow people to consume marijuana as long as they're not smoking it, because marijuana is included, smoking is included under the Clean Indoor Air Act, which is a cigarette smoking ban. But in terms of vaporizing, for example, we're pretty confident the law will allow for private businesses to do that. It's just a question of whether that needs to be specifically codified or whether it'll have to go through more of a court-related process. But I think that city leaders, for example, here in Denver, are really starting to settle in, and they're recognizing that there needs to be a place for people to go, and that'll get resolved pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. Now, how about law enforcement? How's the reaction been from them? Because there's still, of course, these rules. You can't take it out of state, and there's still limits to how much you can possess. Are law enforcement going to be flexing their muscles on those limits?
We've yet to really see any sort of significant issues occurring when it comes to adults possessing marijuana. It's been entirely legal for adults to possess and grow marijuana privately this entire past year. I've never really seen or heard about any issues arising as a result of that. Again, marijuana has been bought and sold in Colorado and every other state around the country for a very, very long time, and the only thing that's different now is that the marijuana is being purchased in state-regulated stores where we actually know who is producing it and who they're selling it to and where, and have at least some level of control over what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Has there been any reaction officially from the law enforcement there?
Law enforcement officials were around all day on the 1st at the dispensaries that were opening, and they were all very helpful and really just there to make sure that there were no problems, and there weren't. So, by and large, I think most police officers really just, are doing their job, which entails being around to make sure people are safe. And of course, if you're using publicly, it's quite possible that you will be cited. It is still against the law. So it's up to people to choose whether they want to risk that or not.
Mm-hmm. Mason, have there been any unique challenges for you guys there as activists now that the ball has sort of rolled on this one and we do have this legalization going? Where do you guys in the state go next? What's on your agenda?
Well, I'm working primarily on what's going on in other states around the country here. In Colorado, there's going to be constant tweaking of the laws and the ordinances around various cities. But really, my goal is to pass similar laws in other places, and I think that we're going to be able to do that in a number of places over the next few years.
But I mean, as for, is this the end of the road then for Colorado? Or, I mean, you said that there's tweaking. What kinds of tweaking are we talking about? Is it anything significant?
Well, there is no end of the road. There are still, the alcohol industry is involved in lobbying efforts at the federal and state and local levels every year. There are constantly, discussions over who gets to sell alcohol and where and when, whether grocery stores can sell full-strength beer, only 3.5% beer, whether liquor stores are able to be open on Sundays or not, liquor licensing, and so on. So, it's just not something that's going to just stop at any time. It's just going to be like any other industry where there are businesses trying to operate and trying to make sure that they're able to do so without too many hindrances, and we'll just see that continue to play out.
Right, and I guess there's the local things. There's the smoking in public or on your porch, and there's those sort of, all the counties or areas have their own ways of tweaking the laws themselves as well, right?
It's up to localities to decide how they want to handle things like what defines public use, and ultimately, for example, Denver has accepted what was intended, and if public use would entail using on the street or sidewalk or in a public place, but you're able to consume marijuana outside on private property if you own the property, or if you're allowed to by the property owner.
Right, exactly. Well, thanks a lot, Mason, for talking with us. Really appreciate it. And, of course, we'll have you back again sometime soon to keep us updated on everything that you guys are working on there at the MPP. So maybe tell us, just super quick, I know I don't want to keep you for too much longer, but the MPP, what's on the agenda there? You guys have any big major things going on right now?
Well, we're going to be working to pass ballot initiatives in a number of states over the next few years, the first being Alaska. Right now, there are local activists there who are about to wrap up a petition drive to put a measure on the ballot for August 2014 that's very similar to Colorado's law. We're very hopeful that that will be successful. And then we plan on running several initiatives in 2016. We're constantly working in state legislatures. We expect to be able to pass these kinds of laws in several states over the next few years. And we also are always working in Congress to try to change federal laws.
Right, I guess that's really the big next step, is to really work these in the federal laws rather than just the state ones too. Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Mason. Really appreciate having you on. Always great to talk to you, and we'll have you back again soon for sure.
Thanks so much for having me.